Yep, you're doing it wrong. I said what I said. And it's not your fault this is happening. Social media has given us a really distorted view of what self-care actually looks like. You've got influencers pushing skincare routines on you, and nurses on crisis lines telling you to take baths. Yeah, that actually happened to me. And while those things can feel nice, let's be real. They're not gonna fix burnout. They're not gonna help your anxiety, and they're definitely not gonna help you set boundaries with people who drain you. Self-care is often way less glamorous. It's about doing the things that you don't want to do, but know are good for you, like going to bed early instead of staying up late and scrolling until 2 a.m. It's saying no to commitments that overwhelm you, even if you disappoint someone. It's cooking a balanced meal when you'd rather order takeout. It's booking that therapy session you've been putting off. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Self-care doesn't always feel good in the moment. Sometimes it feels forced, boring, or even hard. But it's the kind of care that actually supports your mental health and helps you build a life that you don't constantly feel the need to escape from. I'm gonna break down what self-care actually is, why so many of us are getting it wrong, and how to start practicing it in a way that makes you resilient, calmer, and healthier. Psychologists emphasize that self-care is about sustainability. It's not a one-time treat. It's an ongoing practice that helps you manage stress, regulate emotions, and maintain balance. So if your version of self-care leaves you feeling guilty, drained, or disconnected, you might be doing it wrong, or not enough of it. In other words, self-care is not just about pampering yourself. It's about the daily practices that keep you physically and mentally healthy. Let's do some quick myth busting. Myth 1, self-care is selfish. It's not. You need to let that go. In the event of an emergency, you put your oxygen mask first. Why? Because you're not good to anyone when you've passed out from hypoxia. Oxygen goes on you first, always. Research shows that people who practice healthy self-care are more resilient, productive, and better able to support other people. Self-care is indulgence. Said who? Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. This is a really contextual statement. If your perception of self-care is buying yourself a Prada bag and maxing out your credit card because you had a bad day, then yeah, that's indulgence. But someone else might define indulgence as taking a day off from work, dropping off the kids with your mother-in-law. Either way, the version of self-care that brings you wellness matters more than the opinion of others. Which leads me to my next myth. Self-care is the same for everyone, and there is a one-size-fits-all routine. I don't think I need to explain that. Myth number 4, self-care has to cost money. Nope. Try again. Self-care is a reward that you have to earn. Okay, Dad. Self-care fixes everything? No, it definitely doesn't. If you're putting off crucial tasks and finding yourself engaging in self-care rituals, instead, you might actually find your mental health getting worse. Same with bed rotting. To each their own though, some people feel they benefit from it. When we buy into these myths, we end up practicing self-care in ways that don't actually improve our mental health and well-being and can often feel transactional. Let's talk about why self-care is important for mental health, stress, and preventing burnout. Chronic stress increases cortisol, which impairs memory, weakens the immune system, and increases the risk of anxiety and depression. Self-care practices like mindfulness, rest, and exercise lower cortisol and restores balance. Emotional regulation. Self-care helps regulate your emotions. For example, journaling has been shown to reduce the symptoms of anxiety and depression by helping people process their thoughts. It is literally free therapy, and the trick to this is just to lean into your emotions as you're writing, which I'll admit does take some time to learn how to get used to. But once you do, you'll have the healthiest coping mechanism on earth at your disposal at all times. In the comments below, you will find my blog post with 50 journal prompts. Please go look at it. Resilience. Studies show that people who engage in consistent self-care are more resilient than people who do not. They bounce back faster from setbacks because they have a foundation of mental and physical health. I also wrote an article about that, but I'll encourage you to find that on your own. The video description is a great place to start though. Sleep and mental health. Sleep is one of the most overlooked forms of self-care. Poor sleep is linked to higher rates of overeating. And no, 6 hours is not enough. And no, you're not a better person because you get up at 4 in the morning every day. Prioritizing sleep hygiene, like keeping a consistent bedtime and limiting screens before bed, is one of the most powerful self-care practices you can adopt. So when we talk about self-care, what we're really talking about is protecting your mental health at its core. Here are some of the most common mistakes people make when it comes to self-care, and you might want to take a seat because this section might be a little long. Number one is using self-care as avoidance. Don't fall into the trap of self-care as an excuse to avoid responsibilities. For example, binge watching TV for several hours and calling it self-care when it's actually procrastination. We've all done this and sometimes needed it, but you just need to be honest with yourself and where you're at. Confusing comfort with care. Comfort activities like ignoring exercise and eating junk food does feel good in the moment, but it doesn't support long-term well-being. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do this at all. I'm just saying if you're finding yourself doing this on a regular basis, you might want to reconsider. Third is overscheduling self-care. Turning self-care into multiple to-do items on your list can create stress instead of relief. It's like when you add relax into your schedule, but when it finally comes down to it, you're way too amped up from your day, or you just can't relax on command. It becomes more of a chore than a tree. Number four, ignoring the basics. Your 16-step skincare routine means nothing if your sleep, nutrition, and hydration are neglected. Your dermatologist will agree. Fifth, only doing what feels good in the moment. Scrolling on your phone for hours or binge watching TV might feel like rest, but often it leaves us feeling more drained than satisfied. Real self-care sometimes feels uncomfortable, like getting up when you'd rather stay in bed, or saying no when you feel like saying yes. Number six is copying someone else's routine. What works for one person won't necessarily work for another. Would you believe that we're not all the same person? Self-care should be personal and not a checklist that you copied from someone else's playbook. Although getting ideas from others is a really great place to start. Number seven is practicing self-care inconsistently. You might as well put a band-aid on a broken arm. Doing something once in a while doesn't really make much of a difference, as you know. Try your best to do something nice for yourself as frequently as possible. Number eight is using self-care as a way to avoid growth. Protecting your peace and energy is cute and all, but I would encourage you to ask yourself if there is an opportunity to challenge yourself and or grow from the situation you're experiencing. In an attempt to keep peace, you might be chronically biting your tongue every time your mother makes a comment about your body or your relationships. But this could be a chance to, And finally, forgetting that self-care changes over time. What worked for you yesterday might not be what you need tomorrow. Your needs are dynamic and your self-care plan should reflect that. Let's rapid fire the pillars of self-care. Pillar one, digital care. This is having boundaries with tech. Turning off notifications, setting screen limits, or taking social media breaks when necessary. Creating your feed, following accounts that inspire you, like mine, instead of drain you. Block or unfollow accounts that create content that doesn't make you feel good about yourself. Digital detox, making space for offline life so your brain can rest from constant stimulation. This could look like eating a meal in silence instead of doing the usual and watching TV while you eat. The second pillar is purpose and growth. This is what makes life feel meaningful beyond the grind. Get into hobbies. Do things that bring you joy just because they bring you joy, not because they're productive or give you some type of tangible benefit. Learn something. Read. Take classes. Explore new skills to keep your mind sharp. Dial in your goals. Pursue something bigger than yourself, whether it's creativity, career, or service. Discover your purpose. Research shows that having a strong connection to purpose is linked to lower rates of depression and longer life expectancy. Yes, you can actually live longer just by having a purpose in life. The third pillar is practical self-care. This is the unglamorous but essential side of self-care, like tackling your finances. This is paying your bills on time, budgeting, and reducing money stress. Environment. This is keeping your space clean and organized so that your mind feels calmer. Planning ahead, meal prepping, scheduling, and writing to-do lists to reduce decision fatigue. Maintaining your health, booking doctor's appointments, taking medications, and staying on top of checkups. Pillar four is social self-care. Humans are wired for connection, and ignoring this pillar leaves us feeling sad and isolated. Connections. Strong social ties are one of the biggest predictors of happiness and longevity. Boundaries. Say no when necessary when you need to protect your energy and your mental health. Community. Surrounding yourself by people who give to you and not take. Social care is about quality, not quantity. Pillar 5 is emotional care. This is about tending to your inner world. Journaling helps process emotions and reduce rumination. Therapy is professional support for deeper issues and patterns you can't untangle alone. Mindfulness. Practices like meditation or breathwork reduce stress and improve focus. Also, the benefits of this are quick. Like if you actually struggle with your focus on a day-to-day basis, try meditating for 5 minutes a week and you will see a significant improvement. Even if you find yourself like checking out while you're driving or watching TV, just continue to bring your mind back to the present moment. Self-compassion. Work on your self-talk and keep that inner critic at bay. Emotional care is as much about how you treat yourself as it is about what you do. And our last pillar is physical care. This is the non-negotiable stuff that keeps your body running. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep. As we know, sleep is when your brain resets, your body repairs, and your mood stabilizes. Nutrition. Eat balanced meals that energize you while prioritizing nutritional quality. Think of food as fuel, not just a necessity. Movement. Regular exercise reduces anxiety by boosting serotonin and endorphins. It doesn't have to be the gym. You can go on a walk, do some yoga at home. You can even do some dancing or stretching. Physical care isn't just about doing more. It's also about knowing when you need to pause and let your body recover. It's also about recognizing that everyone's version looks different. You might even find that you are more replenished just by changing tasks rather than having a seat for half an hour. When you focus on these pillars, self-care starts being a quick fix or a trendy hashtag. It becomes a lifestyle. It's the daily maintenance that keeps you grounded, resilient, and able to handle whatever life throws at you. The solid steps to build a self-care routine are: number 1, assess your needs. Take an honest look at your life and ask yourself where you have room for improvement in regards to your overall well-being. Maybe it's constant overwhelm at work or feeling disconnected from your friends. Possibly even neglecting your physical health. Pinpointing the area that feels the most depleted gives you a really great starting point. Ask yourself, what am I missing right now? Step 2 is to start small. Routines are more likely to stick if they are realistic and sustainable. Instead of trying to reinvent your entire lifestyle overnight, just pick one thing that you can start doing. Just pick one manageable shift. That could mean drinking a glass of water before your morning coffee, stepping outside for air during lunch, or setting aside 10 minutes to stretch before bed. Small W's build up momentum. Step 3, schedule it. If it's not on the calendar, it's not a priority, and therefore it is easy to let slide. Block out time the same way you would if you had a meeting or if you had an appointment to do. Maybe it's a midweek check-in with a friend, or a Sunday grocery run to set up your week, or a quiet half hour in the evening to unplug. Protect that time. It matters. Step 4 is balance, comfort, and growth. There's nothing wrong with cozy, feel-good activities like watching a favorite show or enjoying a treat, but real self-care also includes facing hard things like having difficult conversations, tackling a task that you've been avoiding, or committing to a routine that strengthens your body and your mind. The sweet spot is finding a mix of both, thus achieving balance. Step 5 is to reflect and adjust. Caring for yourself isn't static. What you might need during a very, very stressful season of your life will be different than what you need during a calmer one. Check in with yourself regularly. Is what I'm doing helping? Do I actually feel more grounded, or am I just going through the emotions? Be willing to swap out practices that no longer serve you and experiment with new ones. When you approach self-care this way, it stops being a trendy checklist and becomes a flexible system that adapts to your life. It's not about doing everything perfectly. It's about consistently giving yourself what you need. Think of self-care as the foundation of a house. Without it, everything else, like your work, your relationships, your goals, sits on shaky ground. But when you take the time to strengthen that foundation, you create stability that can weather storms. Rest, boundaries, and growth aren't luxuries. They're the beams that hold everything else up. Remember this: caring for yourself is not a distraction from living. It's what allows you to live fully. When you rest, you rise stronger. When you set boundaries, you make space for what truly matters. When you invest in your growth, you expand the possibility of opportunities for your future. The wisdom is simple. Just listen. Your body, your mind, and your spirit are always sending you signals about what they need. Sometimes it's energy, sometimes it's stillness, and other times it's connection. Honor this communication instead of ignoring it. Self-care is not selfish. It's the foundation that allows you to show up with clarity, energy, and compassion for the people that matter most, like your friends and your family. Self-care will look different at every stage of your life. Some seasons will call for discipline and others will call for gentleness. Some days it will mean pushing yourself to grow, and other days it will mean giving yourself permission to pause. Embrace flexibility, allowing your definition to self-care to evolve like you do. In the end, self-care is less about what you choose to do and more about how you choose to live, with intention, balance, and courage to put well-being at the center of your life. That's not indulgence, it's strength, it's wisdom, and it's the kind of care that doesn't just help you survive, it helps you thrive.